Hi, my name is Alejandro Rodriguez, and I'm going to show how to develop a mashup of Flickr Picasa Photobucket services using Eclipse. The original idea and all the material provided in this example was originally developed by María Andrés Paredes Valverde, which is currently a PhD student at the University of Murcia. So all the merit and all the stuff has been done by him. So, well, I think that all the honors about this class or about this material should be directed to him. So, well, once this is done, basically we need to open Eclipse. I have developed another video where I show the development of another mashup using a script and a slicer. It's like a simpler example because it's not using any additional API. In this example, we are going to use some additional APIs, like for example Google API or Acetamorph or JSON API to manage all the data. But basically it's more or less the same as the other one, with the difference of these APIs that we are going to use. First of all, we need Eclipse. We need to have installed the Java Enterprise Edition environment in Eclipse. It's something that we can download directly with this all this material, all these parts of Enterprise Edition installing Eclipse, or we can download the basic version of Eclipse and from the menu help install new software. We can select here the available sites. In this case, I'm using Kepler version of Eclipse, so we can select here, and we will see that once all the options were loaded, we are able to see in programming languages, for example, or in web, Java EE and USD. We can see here all the elements that I already installed, for example, that I like Eclipse Java Web Developer Tools that is necessary, or Eclipse Java EE Developer Tools. We also need GST server adapters and GST server adapters extensions in order to add a new web server. In this case, I'm working with Apache Tomcat with the 7.0 version. So, well, to add a server, you just need to be able that you have installed, to be sure, sorry, that you have installed these GST server adapters, download the last version of Apache Tomcat, and from here to Window Preferences, you go to the server stuff, server pack, you go to runtime environments, and you can click here to add, and you can select here Apache Tomcat, and you can follow all the steps and give all the information that is necessary, like the path where it is installed, and finally you will have ready the Apache Tomcat server runtime environment that is necessary to launch these applications. So, well, in the example, given that write all the code from scratch is like a very slow process, and in order to make the things more easy or more fast, I'm going to create the project like if it were a new project. In fact, it's a new project, so it's not like import all the project with all the stuff and all the configurations. It is a new project. I'm going to create it, and I'm going to just copy and paste all the elements that I need, like the source code, the GSP pages, the CSS, and the JavaScript files. Then I'm going to explain each line of code, well, not each line of code, but the most relevant lines of code that I think that should be explained in order to understand how it's working the mashup. And once this is done, we can have a real idea or a general idea about how the mashup was developed and how the mashup works. So let me create a new project. I'm going to go to File, New, and well, we have here a dynamic web project. If it didn't appear here, we go to Other, and in Web, we can select Dynamic Web Project. Next, and well, the project name in this case will be Picasa Photobucket, for example, because we are going to create a mashup with Flickr, Picasa, and Photobucket. And the target runtime is the server that we are using. In this case, I'm using Apache Tomcat, but you can use any other like Glassfish or any other that you like. Uh, we select next, next, and finish. So we have here the project that is created. We have all the folders and all the stuff that is necessary. So well, here we are going to introduce all the source code, and here in WebBeam Leaf we are going to introduce all the libraries that we need to run the project. So I'm going to a folder where I have all the material. I go here to Picasa Bucket, and for example I go to source code, and I'm going to copy this folder, ITO, copy, go here to SRC, paste, and here it is. Okay, we have several packages. Okay, you can see that here inside of ITO we have all the folder Flick, Photobucket, Picasa, and Utils. Okay, so it's just the organization of the packages. Um, well, we have here several packages. This is for managing the Flickr API, Photobucket API, and Picasa API. We have another package that is util with the utilities class, that it's a class that we need to manage some parts of the code. I will explain it later. Well, once we add all the source code, we have some errors here, okay, that are normal because, for example, we are importing some classes that are from external libraries that we didn't have already. So, well, where are these libraries? Well, in this case, we are using several libraries, okay. I have here in the folder um, original libraries, okay, this the ones that we need, but we have here all the necessary libraries, okay, that we need to run this example, this Mashup example, and all the URLs to download them. We are using Java Mail, we are using Java Beans Activation Framework, JSON library, simple out message signing for Java, Apache Commons. We are using several like codec, lang, logging, collections, and bin utils. We are using Exetamorph, Guava release 9, and Google Data. As part of Google Data, we are not using all the jars, all the libraries. We are using just this one that are here indicated: client, core media, and photos meta. So well, we have here all the original one. In this case, I have all the jars that we finally need here. So just to not lose more time, I'm going to copy all these libraries, and we are going to introduce it in the libraries folder that is inside WebBeam. Okay, so I paste, okay, and automatically we have all the libraries, and we saw that all the errors were uh, deleted and were skipped. So that means that we have all the libraries that we need. First of all, well, to continue, before starting to see the code, we need to add the elements that make available the web page. So the elements that make the web page available are here. I mean, are the web page itself, and it's inside of the web content folder. So we have the CSS that are the cascade style sheet elements to make the appearance of the web page. What? Let's postpone. Okay, thank you. So we have all the information here, and well, we have the CSS, we have the images, and we have the JavaScript files. Okay, and we have the GSP files that are the web itself. So we are going to copy all, and after some minutes, I'm going to explain everything. So we go to web content here, and we paste, and here it is. We have all the information that we need to run this example. So, okay, it's supposed that we have everything. So we are going to execute it and see what's happening. We go to Picasa Bucket, okay, and we right click, we go to Run As, and Run on Server. So we select an existing server that is Tomcat, that we already used it in the past. We go to Next, Okay, I'm going to remove this scribe share that is the previous example that I realized. So I just need to execute Picasa bucket. So I go to finish, and a web browser will be open. Well, the server will be started, and after that, a web browser will be open inside of Eclipse, showing the application. And here it is. Okay, we have this is the application that we have created, Mashup. We have the Picasa bucket, okay, logo, and some text. We have the text field where we are going to introduce the keywords that we want to search. For example, given that I love cats, we are going to search something about cats. So let's do a try and click on search, and here we go. We have all the results from Flickr, that there are quite a lot. We have all the results from Photobucket, that again are quite a lot. And finally, we have all the results from Picasa that are not so lot, so much, but okay, we have all the information here. In the console, we have all the information about the server, and we have some strings that we can see here. Okay, I will copy them because I think it's interesting. I'm going to paste it just here to analyze it. Okay, this is basically the calls that we are making to the services of Photobucket and Flickr. Okay, Picasa it's done in another way. So, but Photobucket and Flickr is just a query over the REST API to get all this information. Okay, so we have here all the URL that it's created. Okay, so we know that it's working, we know that everything it seems to be fine, but now we need to know how was this done. I mean, we are going to analyze the code. We are starting with the code, the Java code of the Java resources, all the source code, and after that we are going to analyze the GSP and the JavaScript that were created and allows us to run this example. So let's do it. Okay, so we're going to start with the Flickr API. So we go here to the ITO Flickr package, and we have basically two classes. Okay. Well, in fact, in all these packages, except Picasa, we have two classes. The class with the name of the service is the class that is in charge of managing the service and to query the service to get all the data. The other class is just a container about the elements that are retrieved by the service. For example, in this case, we have this photo class that basically just contain information about the elements that are loaded by Flickr service. Like, for example, the ID, the secret key, the title, the square URL, or the large URL. In the photo bucket, we have the same. We have, sorry, in image, that is part of the photo bucket, we have the same. We have a class that is the object that will contain the information about the title, the URL, and the thumbnail. So, well, these classes are quite simple, so it didn't require much time. So we are going to Flickr and we are going to examine the information. First of all, we are going to the lower part because we have this main method. This allows us, for example, to make a search directly executing the class. For example, it's going to search the tag Sakira with these parameters 1 and 10 that basically are the page number and the numbers of results per page to start. So for example, if we execute Flickr, we go right click, we go to run as, and in this case we select Java application just to run as a normal application. And we can see that several results will be returned. In this case, we have here is just printing the ID. So we have the total number of results, for example, to Shakira, and well, this is the call that it makes to the API, to the REST API. So well, how it works? Well, it's quite simple. In fact, we just create a list of the elements that represents the image, that is this photo class. Okay, and we are going to create a URL on string. Basically, it's going to be a URL like this one, okay? This one is, in fact, this one. We started with the root URL that is this, okay? We can see also here the root URL, okay? And after that, we are going to add in parameters and value. Parameter, value. Parameter, value. Sorry, value. Parameter, value. Parameter, value. Parameter, value. Parameter, value. Okay? And this is all done with this utilities class that basically we have this method at parameter utilities is here in utils. You can see here the code, and basically it receives the URL, receives the name, the parameter name, and the value. And basically it's just adding all the parameters followed by this question mark that is or this ampersand depending the number of the parameter, and it's using some encoding type, some char set using UTF-8. Okay, so basically it's quite simple. It's just adding parameters to the URL. We can see here that we add the APK. We are adding the text. We are adding the per page format, some extra parameters, and so on. So finally, we have here that we can print here the URL, and once we have the URL created, we started the real code that make the query. So first of all, we need to create a URL object with this string, and we have to create a connection, a HTTP URL connection. We did it with this object. Okay, if the response is okay, it seems that it is that we already are connected, so everything goes fine. And well, we have to create a JSON object because we are going to manage all the data with JSON. So we use the JSON serializer class from the connection. Okay, we're using the utilities get content that again is a method that basically creates a buffer and reads all the data from this buffer in UTF-8 char set and add it to a string. Okay, so from this we create the serializer to JSON, and we create a JSON object that are the photos. We create another well, we store in total results that is just a number. I mean the number of results that we have here. Okay, it's an attribute of the class that basically retrieves all the number of results. And finally we create these photos, okay, that basically will contain all the photos. Okay, so it's a JSON array because there are several elements, and for each element we obtain the JSON object like here. Okay, sorry, like here. And for each JSON object it is each photo. So we create the photo object and we add all the information like the ID, secret, title, URL sequence, and all that stuff, and we add it to the list. And that's all. We have here in docs all the information, all the photos that we have carried, we have, I mean, have been returned by the Flickr API. Well, in the case of Photobucket, it's the same. We go to Photobucket. We can see here that we can execute. Well, one thing that I forgot to mention is that in Flickr, we have here more info about the photo search method. That is the one that we are querying. Okay, we can see here that this is the method that we are using. So we have more information here in this URL. In the Photobucket, again, we have all the information about the Photobucket API here. Okay, and well, we have more or less the same behavior. In this case, the root URL is this apphotobucket.com. We have the AP key and AP secret that are two parameters that are necessary to query Photobucket. Well, in the case of Flickr, I didn't mention it, but it's the same. Okay, and well, basically most of these services need at least one AP key that is provided by the service, and we have here the AP key that is added to the URL that is going to make the query here. Okay. So well, uh, we have here a main method that allows us again to see all the information from Photobucket. I'm going to execute it to see it. Right click over Photobucket Java and go to Run as Java application, and we see here the query, how it's performed, the URL of the query, and for example we have here all the results. In this case it's executing the title, I mean it's showing the title. So well, it's quite normal that if we search for Apple, Apple, all the titles will be Apple. So well, that's some of the elements that we can provide. For example, if we get, we want another one, like for example, the URL, we can make a change. Okay, URL. Okay, I'm going to execute again because probably we will be the results better or are made more more visual. Okay, and here we have all the results. Okay, are all apples, but we have that the URLs are different because are different elements. Okay, so how it works? Well, I'm not going to be explaining here much more because it's the same. We're going the utilities have parameter to create the URL. Okay, it's root URL plus search plus all the parameters that we need. So once we have this, again we create the URL element. We create the HTTP URL connection, and we need to use here, for example, this API that is OAuth consumer, that is basically to make the authentication over, against the Photobucket platform. So it's made with this creation of this object, and we use the sign method over the connection, over the HTTP URL connection to perform the authentication. Once we have the response code, if it is okay, everything goes fine, we did the same that we did in the past with, in this case, changing the parameters because each API has its own parameters. But basically we have JSON objects that will contain all the information returned by the service. So in this case, we are going to use again the JSON array, okay, to obtain all the photos. In this case, is by querying the media, the media tag or the media parameter. So we create a JSON object for each one, and we create image objects instead of photo objects that we were doing or creating in the case of Flickr API. And basically we add all the information to the list that it was created here, and that's all. We have all the results provided by the API. And well, the last API that we are using in this case is Picasa, and we are going to open it. Again, we have here this main method that allows us, for example, to get more information about all the data that we carry. I'm going to execute it again. I'm going to right click over Picasa, run as Java application, and we're going to see all the information returned by the search of the keyword puppy, or puppy, sorry. So we have here all the information. In this case, it's printing a lot of information like title, description, ID, geolocation, and we have here all the information for each one. Okay, so we have here several for the 10 results that we asked for. We have here all the information. And how it works? Well, the idea is more or less the same, but it changes a little bit because we are not using a REST query directly. We are using the Picasa API that allows us to make it more, well, I think it's easier. We'll have more information about the Picasa API here. And well, basically we have more or less, it's more or less the same behavior. We have to create a Picasa web service instance with the AP key, okay? That is my service. I create, for example, a list of photo entry. The photo entry class is one class provided. In this case, we can see here that it's a class provided by GData, by the Gmail Photos API. So this is the reason because we don't need to create an image or photo class because we already have a class that encapsulates all the information of the photos provided by Picasa. So We have here all the information. We create a URL that is the base search URL that it's based on the root URL we have here, okay? So we create a query object. Again, the query is it's a class provided by the client Google Client API, and we create the query with the base search URL, and basically we add some parameters, like for example a string custom parameter. The kind of search that we are going to develop is photos. The maximum number of results. The full text query, that is the number or the keyword exactly of the search that we want to perform. The start index we are going to start, and once we have that, we can create an object that is an album feed that will be stored, where will be stored all the results through the my service instance, calling the query method and passing all these parameters. My query that are all the parameters of the query, and the album feed class. Once we have this done, we have all the results. So in total results, we can get all the number of results by the method get total results, and in photos we have the ability of store directly all the photo entries, so we don't need to create a loop to go over the object. We have directly all the elements, and this is how Picasa works. So in the next part, we are going to see the GSP and the JavaScript part, and we are going to see how the web page itself is done, because now we have the behavior of the different services, but we need to know how to integrate that on a web application. So that will be our next step. Well, we're going to see now the GSP code and the JavaScript that allows to create the web itself, because now we have all data that allows us to go or to get data or results from the services, but we need to integrate that on a web page. So in this case, we are using as main technology GSP. So the first page that it's open on the web page is the index. So we are going to open the index GSP to see the structure. Well, basically we see that we have here some element that basically that it's to get the page number, because as you saw before, when we get several results, we can make several pages to make available all the data. So this allows us to get the number of pages where we are now. So it allows us to know if we are on page 1, page 2, or what page. So next we have the HTML code, that is the most interesting part here. So in this HTML code, we have this link to the CSS to load the CSS data, and the real interesting part is this one. Okay, we have three script languages of JavaScript that are all loading all the data that it's on GS folder, well, or at least the basic, because some others are not necessary. We are loading the jQuery API, that it's just the normal jQuery API that we needed to perform some Ajax operations. We have this jQuery lightbox that we are using also, and the important one is this functions.js, that is the ones that allows to integrate all the data that it's called for from each GSP, from Flickr, Photobucket, and Picasa. We're going to see that. We have several divs here. We have this top div, okay, where we have the information about the mashup, like the text. We have some image, but the most important thing is that we have the input. We have the button to search, and we have here the other input to that is a text field to introduce the keyword that we are going to search. After that, we have the content div, where we have some input that it's hidden at the beginning, that it's to know the page number. It's basically because for each content we are going to have several pages, and this is the interesting thing, because we have three IDs, three divs, with the ID result Flick, result Photobucket, and result Picasa. And in this div is where we are going to store all the information returned by each service. How we do that? How can we do that? Well, in each GSP, we have Flickr, for example, GSP, we are doing the following. We are creating a GSP code that is Java code, basically where we get the keyword that it's get by the parameter keyword when we are calling the Flickr DSP pages. We are going to get the page number where we are now, and after that we are going to create a Flickr object that is this Flickr class, okay? And we are going to create a list of photos by means of searching through the photos search method with the parameters that we already received, like the keyword, page number, and the number maximum of results that is set to 10. This is for to control the pagination. I mean, to control the number of pages that we are going to have in each page. After that, we have some JavaScript here code that basically it's, for example, this is the lightbox method. And the interesting thing is here, for each element, we have here a loop over the photo list that will allow us to create some HTML code with the data provided by each photo. So like the large URL, the title, and the square URL. And here it's the control of the page numbers that, well, it's not really interesting now. The interesting thing is this part, okay, where we have a loop that allows us to go over the list of photos and put all the information. But, well, okay, we have the same in Photobucket. I'm not going to explain very in deep because it's basically the same but using Photobucket, and we have the same but using Picasa, okay? So the thing is, okay, we have three GSP pages that, okay, when we load these pages, it's assumed that we are executing this Java code, and for hence it's assumed that we are loading the information. But the thing is, how we link this index GSP with the other GSP pages? Well, we are doing that using JavaScript and using Ajax. So the function.js page that we have here is where we have all the magic. Basically, when the document is ready, we add a function to the button search element that, as we saw before in the index, the button search, well, btn search, is the button that we have in our page that we are going to see. We are going to execute again, just to illustrate. Where is this button? This button search, btn search, is concretely this one, okay, this button. So we add a function that when we click on that, we validate the keyword, and we introduce this value on valor variable. This variable, it's called valor, and the validated keyword basically it's just that it's getting the value that is on text keyword. What is text keyword? Text keyword is this text field that we can see here as text keyword. So we get this value, okay, we validate it with this function that basically is just as a, it's testing or checking that it's not null, or it's not a length of 0, or there is, that is a valid element. So if valor is false, if valor is false, it means that, okay, we didn't have a valid value, so we clean the text keyword, and we clean the divs result Flickr, result Photobucket, and result Picasa that are this div. This div is result Flickr, this is result, this div is result Photobucket, and this div is result Picasa that we have again here. Okay, so we clean by means of adding empty HTML. However, if the value is okay, basically we establish that the text page number is 1. We're in the first page, and after that we execute this search on Flickr, search on Photobucket, and search on Picasa. And what are doing these methods? Well, easy. It's using Ajax, and we are calling Flickr DSP Photobucket GSP or Picasa GSP. I mean, we are calling all the GSP that we saw before. So we are calling them with these values. Okay, in the post we are giving them the keyword, the value of the text keyword, the page number, the values of the text of the page number. We assume that the data type is HTML, so before send, it means that just in the moment before we are going to send the request, we establish that in each div, in result Flickr here, or in result Photobucket here, or in result Picasa here, that are these divs, okay, we are going to add some HTML code. In this case, the HTML code is basically a table that will contain an image, okay, this image that it's loading.gif, that basically, as you will see now, it's just a well that it's looping this well, okay, while the search is performed. So it gives the appearance that, okay, it's doing something, so you have to wait until we get the results, and once we get it, that it's here on this success, okay, we get all the data that is all the data that it's here, all this HTML, okay, sorry, from here we get all this HTML and just insert it on each div. So basically we are inserting all this HTML here, and we have the results. And we did the same with Picasa, Flickr, and Photobucket. If some error happen, just put HTML with connection problems, file error. Here it is how it works. Well, basically that's all. We have shown all the behavior of the Mashup. We started with the Java code, how we carry the services using, in this case, in the case of Flick and Photobucket, using REST, and in the case of Picasa, well, using also REST, but by means of the Picasa API, which makes the things, as you see, easier than in the other two, that they are not too difficult, but make it easier. We create a GSP that is basically the index GSP that will integrate the others GSP, Flick, Photobucket, and Picasa by means of Ajax, making a query over the GSP itself, over each one, and each one is going to carry its own service, get the data, and then everything will be integrated by means of these JavaScript functions created here. Well, that's all, and that's how it works. That we have created a small mashup that it's plenty functional and it's working. The visual part is not really attractive, but well, the aim of this class is not to work on web design. It's to introduce the mashup development. So again, I want to thanks Mario Andres Paredes Valverde for the code and for the material that he provides. That's all, and thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.